I'm Eric Novak, and coming up, we've got 10 things to know about the 2020 Volvo S60 plug-in hybrid with Polestar Engineering. The Volvo S60 is one of two sedans they have in their lineup, the 60 being the midsize and the 90 being the full size. And for 2018 and now 2019 and 20, it is in their third generation. To understand Volvo's nomenclature, it gets a little bit confusing because you've got T5s, T6, and T8s. All of the S60s are powered by the same 4-cylinder 2-liter engine, but with a T5, you've got a turbocharger, with a T6, you've got turbo and supercharged, and with a T8, you've got a plug-in hybrid combination. And to even make it more confusing, what I have here is something that has Polestar Engineering, or some of a performance-inspired version of the plug-in hybrid. It gets all confusing, of course, but in this review and these 10 things to know, we'll try to explain it all and make you understand a little bit clearer. So what's the whole Volvo Polestar correlation? If you're not familiar with the brand, I'll try to give you a really quick synopsis. Since 1996, Volvo has worked with Polestar, a Swedish company whose goal is to basically enhance performance in vehicles. Not too different than, say, what AMG would be to Mercedes, or Shelby would be to Ford Mustang. And they've had that correlation, so you would have a Polestar co-badged Volvo gas version, so their performance trim level. In 2015, Volvo acquired Polestar, brought them in entirely, but then a year or two later they separated Polestar with the goal of making that a performance brand that only produces battery electric vehicles. So that's where it sits right now. And now you take this combination and bring it back to the vehicles we see today for the 2020 Volvos. And what does this all mean? Well, the old idea was a Polestar was a performance-oriented gas vehicle, and now with the Polestar brand going all electric, you can only do this with their plug-in hybrid variants, their T8. So you have this S60, it's a plug-in hybrid T8. There already is a standard T8 version of this S60, but now you've got your Polestar engineered, sort of your performance with the Polestar Engineering on the electric side feeding into this. That's the basic idea of it. It's meant to be an enhanced drive. It's a little confusing to understand, but that's the basic relationship. So how do you identify a Polestar engineered plug-in hybrid versus a regular plug-in hybrid in the Volvo lineup? Well, there are some visual cues that give it away, and they make it pretty attractive. I mean, of course, on the front grille and on the back, you actually have a Polestar badge that goes into it. It's a unique design. Probably most attractive is now Polestar, their color is gold, and you've got these gorgeous Brembo gold brake calipers on the front and back. It's really an attractive look overall. On the inside, the seat belts are gold, and it really is a sharp combination with the black interior. There are some performance struts from Polestar as well, and inside there's even some gold identifiers as to where you can even do some of your own adjustments. Not something I'm going to do, but you have the ability to adjust the suspension. You can go onto their website to help guide you through the right settings, but there's little cues here and there that identify a Polestar T8 from a traditional T8. The interior of this S60 T8 PE is pretty consistent in overall layout as compared to all other current Volvo designs. And while it's generally elegant and appealing, I've long felt that there's too much reliance on digital touchpoints for controls and not enough tactile buttons for better ergonomics. I've always believed that key controls such as those for climate should involve physical buttons instead of having to be accessed through a digital interface. There are also a couple of issues I have concerns with that relate to this particular model and trim. One is the fact that I'm surprised to see how in a vehicle that's priced around $80,000, the front seats were only heated but not heated and cooled, and that's something I could have benefited from during my week of testing, as it was quite hot all week. My other gripe is one that may not be a big deal to some, but is notable to me and really kind of odd. You see, all Volvo plug-in hybrids do not have the ability to listen to AM radio. Now, the reason why I'm told this is because the battery charging system can cause interference and a buzzing sound on AM stations. BMW has also removed AM on their i3, and Tesla has done so on the Model X, but there's other EVs and PHEVs that still offer AM as a listening option. So why does this matter? Because AM is still a viable and popular band, with many of the most listened to radio stations in North America located on the AM dial. Talk radio, news, sports, and many ethnic language stations still operate on AM, and there's many AM listeners who would likely fall into the target market that Volvo identifies with. I've personally worked at 3 radio stations in my career, all of them being on the AM dial. So maybe my bias is coming out here, but it certainly is a noticeable, even if it's not widely talked about, omission overall. Powering this S60 T8 plug-in hybrid with the Polestar Edition is a 2-liter 4-cylinder turbo and supercharged engine. Puts on its own 328 horsepower and 317 pound-feet of torque out. It is matted to an 11.6 kilowatt-hour battery and a 65 kilowatt motor. The combined output is 415 horsepower and 494 pound-feet of torque. It is paired up to an 8-speed Geartronic automatic transmission, and you've got some different modes altogether. You've got your basic hybrid mode, you've got eco EV only mode, but you've got also your Polestar engineered mode, which, I mean, if you're going to spend the kind of money that you would for a vehicle such as this that is Polestar engineered, well, I think you'd probably be spending more time in Polestar mode. And when you're in that mode, you have some pretty interesting and a lot of fun to drive. You've got 0 to 100 kilometers an hour in about 4.3 seconds. The ability to customize the suspension and handling as you see it under the hood. Overall, it really is a lot of fun to drive. I will not take anything away from the driving excitement of this vehicle. This is a lot of fun. Trying to explain fuel economy when talking about plug-in hybrids is more challenging than usual. The reason, of course, is because PHEVs draw their energy from 2 different energy sources, that being gasoline and batteries. Each source has a different way of measuring efficiency, so PHEVs are rated for both. Electric efficiency is rated as either liters E per 100 kilometers or NPGE, depending upon where you live. Now, using NPGE as an example, think of this as being similar to gas, but instead of presenting miles per gallon of the vehicle's fuel type, it represents the number of miles the vehicle can go using a quantity of fuel with the same energy content as a gallon of gasoline. In the S60 T8 PE's case, the combined gas fuel economy rating is 7.8 liters per 100 kilometers or 30.2 US miles per gallon. When using battery primarily, the rating is 3.2 liters E per 100 kilometers or 69 mpge in the US. As for EV-only range, this S60 T8 PE is rated at 35 kilometers or 21.8 miles, which is okay, but on the low side compared to many of the newer PHEV models coming out on the market today. And finally, the last thing to know are my overall impressions of this 2020 Volvo S60 T8 Polestar Engineered. To start with, I love driving it. This was a lot of fun. All the power with the plug-in hybrid, it gives everything it promises. It's a blast to drive. The handling, the suspension, great vehicle overall. The overall look of this too is pure Scandinavian luxury. It's minimalist, simplified, but attractive. And you add the decorative elements of the Polestar combination, the badging, those gorgeous brake calipers, the seat belts inside, things like that. Overall, you have a really attractive package. But after that, there are some challenges here, and I really think Volvo is going to struggle a bit because of it. And I think it has to relate with branding. I just think it's a little bit confusing for people to understand just what Polestar means to the Volvo name overall today. I know what it once was, and now that they've branched Polestar off and they're trying to bring it in together on plug-ins only, it's really kind of a challenge, even for me who's quite familiar with the brands, to figure out just the right way to position this. I also think because of the price point, I mean, at 80,000 plus, it's going to be a bit of a struggle, especially since you have a regular, less expensive, non-Polestar engineered T8 available. if they can figure out how to better brand it. I don't think this is going to be a high volume car anyway, and I don't believe Volvo has that expectation. But if they really want to maximize its potential, they've got to get a little bit clearer in basically differentiating it and making sure consumers know exactly what it means to drive a plug-in hybrid Volvo with Polestar Engineering. If they can get through that, this is a great vehicle, and it should do well, because I certainly enjoyed my time with it. That's it for this review. I'm Eric Novak. Thanks so much for watching. There's plenty of ways for you to keep connected with me, so check out some of my social media links, suggested videos, and I'd really love it if you subscribe to my YouTube channel.